Hello there, Motiva and relevant friends. I tried to make a video of this from our call today, but it turned out to be huge. So I'll just redo the video and I'll just post this on YouTube, which hopefully you'll see it when I send the link. So here's what we're showing off during the meeting. We have this HMI connected here at my home network, and I'll just put a RAID in. And this guy is running in free run right here. And so you see I'm generating some numbers here, some different temperature values. I'm just oscillating through. And if we wanted to quickly show a data logger of this particular thing, I'm going to go over to the Crimson software that's actually running on this HMI. And I'll quickly go over to DataLogger over here on the left. And I'll create a new log here. For testing purposes, we'll make it the fastest we can, which is log once a second. I'll make it so that each file holds 60 samples or 1 minute of data. And for giggles, I'll say that this thing should hold the last 30 files in here, or 30 minutes of data. So then if I click on the Contents tab, if I want to monitor those temperature values, I'll just go over here to the left and I'll drag out the temp F from that value. I'll go here and drag this one out. I'll go to this one. I'll drag it out here like this. And I'll go to this one, drag it, and I got 2 more to go here. I have more, but this is plenty for our show and tell here. So I just add those to the data logger, and that sets up the data logger to run, and it works fine. So if I was to go ahead and download that to the screen, now it's going to start logging the data. However, most customers also like to see a TrendViewer or a digital representation of that. So I'm just going to go ahead and easily create a new page over here, and I'll just quickly just change the name of this to Trends, for instance. And then on the right side, I'll go into what's called System Primitives, and I'll drag out this TrendViewer app. I'll make this a little bigger screen like this. I'll double click on it. I'm going to tell it to use the data logs from log 1. You can have multiple different data loggers run at the same time. And the viewer with window, I'll make it be 30 seconds by default right here. And I can change the thickness of the pen, which is really nice in Crimson 3.1. Also turn on the show cursor. This will allow me to stop the TrendViewer at any time and see the real values. Let me look at a few other things here. Might make the background black completely. And there's those buttons, nothing there. Those are the colors of the lines. We'll leave those. Maybe I'll make this one be white. That'll contrast a little better. And that should do it. Okay. Nothing else needed here. I'll click OK. And I need a button from the main page to get there. So I'll go over here to page 2. I'll go over here. I'll go into Core Primitives. Yes, I'm doing this blazing fast, but just to show the example. I'll go ahead and grab a red button. I'll drag it right here, for instance. And I'll right click and I'll say, this button needs to say the word trends. I'll type that there. I'll go to the action and I'll tell it, hey, I want this to go to the page called trends. So that'll take us to that page when we get there. Let me go here, change that color. The font might look a little brighter. There we go. And then, of course, when I go to the trends page, I'll see this. I always like to put a button on here that takes me back to the main page. So I'll go properties, and we'll just call this one main, for instance. And then if I go to the action tab, I'll tell it to go to page, hit the pull down here and choose page 2 is the main page. I didn't name it below. Okay, so that should do that. That should let it run. So let me go ahead and download this to the HMI. There it is, and I'll go back to the web server that's running. Once it refreshes here, we should see a button here. Okay, and if I put this guy in free run, you'll see these numbers just automatically generate up and down here. They should be. Let's see here. Did I have it wrong? Maybe I'll put a different number in here. All right, there we go. Now we got it working. All right, so now if I go over here to the trends page, we can see some lines coming across the page here. And as you see, they're pretty convoluted here. The reason they're all so close together is because back at the TrendViewer, I forgot to add some scaling. So let me go back into here, and I'll go over here to data tags. I'll go to the temperature here. I'll go to the format, and the scale of this thing is actually going from 0 to 1,000. So I'll add that there, and then I will copy that settings to these other ones. And there's an easy way to do this. I'll shrink this down, and I'll expand these other ones so I can kind of see these different temperature values. There we go. And then I'll highlight this one, hold down the shift button. Whoops, I don't want to highlight all of them. Just hold down that one, hold down the control button, boom, 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 boom. And then I'll right click on these and I'll say copy from, select copy format. I want to copy the formatting from this guy right here. Boom. That takes care of that for us. We go ahead and download that to it. We'll come back here, and we'll see here when this guy gets updated. There, it's updating. Whoops. All right, once it resets, I'll go ahead and put it back in the free run mode here, and I'll change this back to some number here. All right, so we can see the value changing now. And if I go back to the trends, you'll see a full, much bigger picture of the TrendViewer here working along. If I go back to the main, these guys are so close, we can alter these a little more so they're not quite so close to each other. There we go, like that. Perfect. Now if I go over here, we'll see a much bigger jump of numbers. So if I click on any of these anytime here, it'll stop at that value at that moment and show us down here the real time. And of course, if I hit live, it'll crank along, and it's just generating some trend views here. But more importantly, if I go back to the main window, hit back here, by the way, this number right here, team, if you happen to put this in your browser, this will actually give you access to see this HMI live right now. It's on the web. 47.185.255.149.90, or colon, that's a colon, 97 will give you access to this HMI. And remote view is what I'm looking at here on the main here. But if I go back and if I click on view logs right here, here's the log file. I'll click on log 1. You can see there's a number of logs because I already had this running. But if I was to say I want to look at this one here, notice the file name, May 19th, 1717. This was at 5:17 today. So if I right click and I'll save this to my desktop, I'll just save it here to my desktop. For some reason, Google Chrome likes to give it a TXT file. I'm going to save it as a CSV. Go ahead and hit save. Once I download it here, it'll show up here. And now I can open up in Excel right here. And you'll see the actual data log files. And if you look right here, you can see the date, timestamp. And here's the value of all those temperature values that we're logging in here. And this particular, each file here has 60 samples because it's reading 1 minute of data. And then after it gets down to 60, it starts a new file based on the settings. So really easy data logger to get the raw data into Excel and so forth. And I'm not going to save this, I'll just close it. But that's on there. And then of course if I go back to the remote view here, shows the values, and I can of course alter the speed of this TrendViewer. Change that to 11, that'll make it go faster, up and down. And you can see I got a heck of a pretty chart going on here. But you can tab out over here. It's pretty neat. And then you can see the window right now is 3 minutes of time. Or I can tab in, and of course I can go back, and we can adjust these numbers to faster pull or faster up and down if we want to. And now if you go to trends, you'll see it quicker up and down counting and so forth. And of course if I go back and put it more at like a 7 increment, now you'll get a much smoother lines will show up. Anyway, that's a quick video showing what I was talking about today in our call, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you later.